right, welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast and YouTube show, episode 74. After a very exciting, very surprising, and pretty damn expensive week 3 in the NFL, we're going to get to what happened in Sunday Night Football, the travesty that was that. We're going to get to Damonza's grand opening, grand closing of his gambling career. All of that is coming up. The C block is going to be very interesting because there are some pluses and negatives to being my son. One of them is you get, thrust into this gambling life at a relatively young age. And then sometimes you thrust yourself right out of it. So we'll do that in the C block. I assume we're probably going to start with the Chiefs at some point. But before we get to any of that, as we always do, here's what's not on today's show. What did not make the cut for today's show is Mac Jones getting hurt on the last play of the game. Rihanna headlining the Super Bowl halftime. I'm very confused because I thought they announced it was Taylor Swift. Then Rihanna sent out a tweet. I'm very confused by that, but I'm very happy it's Rihanna. And the Bills offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, losing his mind. We actually might touch on that a bit in a kind of circuitous way. But I'm sure, because you guys are a bunch of jerks, we're going to be starting with the Chiefs. So, Damonza, what are we starting with today?
Kansas City is no longer undefeated. They took a loss to the juggernaut of Matt Ryan and the Colts.
Yeah, hey, listen, you joke, juggernaut. Somebody told you that the Colts win 11 games. Maybe the Colts finally turning things around. Go ahead.
Somebody did. To make matters even worse, Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes got into an argument over play calling.
Don't care about
play
that.
calling at the first half.
Yep.
LaShawn McCoy said on IG that all Bieniemy does is argue with players.
Okay. Don't care about that either.
Now they have to go to Tampa Bay off of a loss and play Tom Brady. Are you nervous, or are the Colts actually good, like you said?
Okay. Listen, that Bucs defense is excellent. That's going to be a tough game. I believe the Chiefs will win it. I think the Bucs are too banged up at the receiving core, even if they get Mike Evans back. But we'll talk about that game in Thursday's pod and Friday's gambling pod.
Okay.
I want to talk about what happened in this unacceptable loss for the Chiefs. Even more unacceptable because, as you can see, we're going to get to next, the Bills lost. Yeah. So this was a great opportunity to be at the top of the conference. So why'd they lose? The first answer as to why they lost is because of the turf in Arizona. What do I mean? That's how Butker sprained his ankle. And he's the second best kicker in the league, and he was out yesterday, and it affected them greatly. They missed a field goal they had no business missing. They went for a fake field goal because they had no faith in it. They missed an extra point because this Amendola fool was their kicker. So that's a problem. The special teams, though, as a whole, was a disaster.
Yep.
They force a 3-and-out start the game, and the rookie Pacheco muffs a punt, sets up an Indy touchdown. The next time Indy punts, he's afraid to field it. It gets downed at the 1.
Right.
Also, our kick returner throughout the game was returning kicks to the 12-yard line, the 14-yard line, instead of taking knees. And you had the missed field goal. And you had the missed extra point. At least they got that back on a 2-point conversion, which I'm not even sure was a successful 2-point conversion, but they gave it to the Chiefs. Yeah. And the fake field goal was terrible.
Yeah.
Either kick the field goal or have Patrick Mahomes run it.
Right.
Or not run the ball, but run the play.
Right.
A fake field goal in that spot on 4th and 6 was ridiculous. So the special teams was terrible.
Bad.
The Travis Kelce dropped the game-winning touchdown. That hurt. The play that you can't get over, because this was one of your many losing bets yesterday, was Chris Jones saying something to Matt Ryan. They sack him on 3rd and long. The Colts are going to be punting. The Chiefs then would have had the ball. They wouldn't have covered, but they'd have won the game. Maybe they would have covered. They got in field goal range, but they probably just get a few first downs, run out the clock. Chris Jones, right in front of the ref, says something to Matt Ryan. I want to know what he said, because he didn't push him. He didn't shove him.
Right, he was just talking.
Just talking. That is a wild penalty for the ref to call, but maybe he said
in that situation too.
But also, Chris Jones got to be smarter.
Yeah.
He's one of the highest paid guys on the team. He's one of the leaders on the team that flipped the game. All the special team stuff, because Butker will be back. The Travis Kelce dropping a touchdown. The Chris Jones stuff, those are all one-off things that I can kind of dismiss. It's a shitty game. They shouldn't have lost, but I can deal with it. My one concern, lasting concern, particularly going into this week, is the idea for the Chiefs' offense this year was it was going to be less explosive, but they were going to be able to run the football, and Mahomes was going to have a ton of time because they had this great offensive line. The offensive line was terrible yesterday. Mahomes was under constant pressure. The running game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran the ball 7 times and finished with 0 yards. His long was 4, and then he lost yards on other plays. He finished 7 carries for 0 yards. All of those things are actually concerning. So I thought the defense played well. I understand they gave up the touchdown on the final drive. But aside from that, the defense, the one touchdown they give up is on the 6-yard field after the Pacheco muffed punt.
Right.
I thought the defense, all in all, did what you wanted it to do. It gave up that one touchdown.
Yeah, no, they were pretty solid.
And then other than that, only gave up field goals the rest of the way until the final drive of the game. They didn't come through, but they did come through. They got the stop on 3rd down.
Right.
And listen, Mahomes wasn't great. Kelsey was, uncharacteristic on the drop. But the offensive line is the thing that was a little concerning and something to watch. But I'm so angry because with the Bills losing, I was supposed to be able to puff out my chest all week, say, I told you so, you guys are crowning the Bills, but now I can't do that because my team lost as well. It sucks. Now, I was smart not to bet them, unlike you. Yeah, I tried to warn you that the 5.5 was silly. I did have the Chiefs in a teaser. Our one teaser, we gave it out in the gambling show. We'll talk more about that on Friday. All right, what's next?
Let's get to the Dolphins and Josh Allen. Tua handed Josh Allen the Bills their first loss. You tweeted before the game that putting Tua in the superstar class was ludicrous.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are 3-0 and now have beaten the Ravens, the Pats, and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
They also achieved the first ever butt punt. Congratulations to them on that.
Yep.
You've been really low on the Bills and Tua, but you got to admit defeat on one of these sides.
Okay.
Finally.
Hold on. Wait a second. I have not been really low on the Bills. I simply have said
they're overrated.
As proven by yesterday.
Okay.
We'll get to a second. Let's get to the Bills first. Because of all the Bills' defensive injuries, there was a path for the Bills to lose, but it to not be an indictment of them, which was the Dolphins just run roughshod over their secondary because both their safeties were out, their top 2 corners were out. That's not what happened. The Dolphins won this game scoring 21 points. The Dolphins won this game having one substantial play in the second half offensively, the pass to Waddle. The Bills lost for 2 reasons. One is their offense got stuck in the mud despite gaining all types of yards. They had a 20-play drive that resulted in 3 points. And they followed that up with a 17-play drive that resulted in 0 points. But the other reason the Bills lost this game was they were in situational football. Into the first half, they blow it. Allen almost throws the pick 6. He doesn't get the spike off because he fumbles the snap, which he fumbled a snap earlier in the game, led to a short field Dolphins touchdown.
Right.
He throws it outside instead of just throwing it out of bounds, and the half's over. That cost him a chance at 3 points. They had 1st and goal from the 2. They got stuffed 3 times, and then Josh Allen, who I'm told is the best quarterback in the league, one-hopped an open touchdown pass, which gave the ball back to Miami, which set up the butt punt. Then at the end, they get super lucky that a 4-point game turns into a 2-point game because of the butt punt safety. And they can't even get in field goal range before the clock expires. And that's when Ken Dorsey freaked out. And so here's where I want to talk about the Bills. The Bills have not won a 1-score game in 2 years. All of their wins have been blowout fashion. Multiple scores.
Interesting.
So, and what did we see? We saw Josh Allen when it came down to situational football screw up a few times after the game. He's like damn near in tears. Tua's consoling him. You saw Ken Dorsey, their offensive coordinator, throw a tantrum like a child after losing a week 3 game on the road. So The Bills got to learn how to win games where everything's not going perfect, where they're not blowing people out. Here's the other concern with the Bills. Josh Allen's awesome. He can't be 100% of your team. He threw 62 passes. He got sacked 4 times. He ran the ball, or he threw 63 passes. He ran the ball 8 times. That's 75 plays, Josh Allen either ran the ball or threw the ball or dropped back to pass. That's too much. You've got to get some running game a little bit. They had the one run, I think it was Moss, 43 yards. Singletary did nothing. You're going to get him beat up. So that's the concern there.
Okay.
Now to Miami. I have been skeptical of Tua. Tua was tough yesterday. Played well. Was not overwhelming.
Yep.
I mean, he threw out the ball 18 times, I think. Threw for 180 yards.
It wasn't overwhelming.
Played well. What was most impressive about Miami far and away was that defense. And that's what, if that defense is above average, we know the offense should be pretty good.
You're saying the standout for the Dolphins is their defense.
Yesterday it was. No question about it.
How come they couldn't get off the field?
Well, that's the old bend, not break. They gave up a ton of yards. You had the Bills 21 points.
Yeah.
The Bills been, you know what I mean, going up and down the field on everybody.
No, that's true.
Miami forced some turnovers. 1st and goal from the 2. They hold them to nothing. I thought Miami's defense is what jumped out to me.
Okay.
And it makes you reevaluate them, because if Tua can just be adequate with those skill position guys, if the defense all of a sudden is above average, now you're cooking with gas. Now you're actually working with something. Now, do I think because they're undefeated, Miami and Philly are the 2 best teams in football? I don't.
Okay.
That's why we do tiers or power rankings, not standings. There's going to be a lot of people who do power rankings, and they put Miami and Philly at the top this week because they're undefeated. If you're just going to do it by record, then just call them standings. You got to have, I still think the Chiefs and the Bills are the 2 best teams in the league. I still think the Bills, I think the Bills are better than the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins just won. I think the Bills are better than them. But the fact that the Dolphins were able to win that game that way, not 38-35, where it's just the rookie safeties and corners can't do anything with Waddle and Hill. Hill didn't do anything. And the Dolphins won. It's a super impressive victory for them. Next, now can we talk about something that unequivocally, unquestionably, I got 100% dead on accurate?
Your boy Trevor Lawrence made a statement against the Chargers yesterday. You tweeted after the game, Trevor Lawrence has officially become a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Chargers left Justin Herbert in banged up. I think he has a broken rib.
Oh, boy.
I think it was 30-10 at one point in the
38-10.
38-10. And they had Justin Herbert.
And he's still taking hits.
Yep. Yeah, he's got hit a few times.
Yeah.
Is the bigger story here the coaching incompetence in LA, or is Trevor Lawrence really great?
Okay. So let's start with LA.
Okay.
I've been a Brandon Staley supporter because he's the coach of the Chargers,
Right.
because I like his aggressiveness on 4th down. What he did with Justin Herbert yesterday was unacceptable.
Right. It's pretty bad.
The fact that down 28 late in the 4th, you leave him in is outrageous. Now, if the argument is, listen, he's the face of our franchise, he didn't want to come out of the game, maybe I'll listen to you. If you then just call run plays.
Right.
Just have him hand the ball off. All right, Trevor, you want to take every snap? You know what I mean? You want to show your team how tough you are? Deal. But I still call
Justin.
Sorry. Did I say Trevor?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert. No. Justin Herbert. If you want to say that, fine. And I know Staley's not calling the offensive plays, but he's got to tell his OC, we are running the ball every single time. We are not getting this guy who needed an injection before the game in order to play. He's going to take more hits, and he took more hits. That's coaching malpractice. I use that term a lot, but in this case, it absolutely applies. I like Staley. He's got to get his together.
Yeah, that's incompetence.
That's really bad. Also, as much as I like the Chargers are really banged up already, especially on defense, and their quarterback's hurt, and Keenan Allen's banged up. So they're dealing with a lot of injuries. We haven't seen them really whole since week 1. And even week 1, they didn't have J.C. Jackson. So we really haven't seen them whole all year. The other thing that's going to hurt the Chargers is, man, they just are going to play 0 true home games. Even the Jags had some fans at that game. And the Jags have no national following. So that's a problem for them. Now, to the prince that was promised, Trevor Lawrence. I told you guys. And Wilds and Brew on the TV show make fun of me because I always bring up the fact that he was the Gatorade National High School Player of the Year, but the guy was the best quarterback in the country when he was 15, when he was 17, when he was 19, when he's 21, and now that he's about to be 23, guess what he is? The best young of that draft class.
Okay.
And that draft class and the one that followed, he's the best guy.
Okay.
And does he have a chance to be the best of if you throw in the class before him?
What draft was Jalen Hurts in?
Jalen Hurts was in the one after.
Okay.
The one before Trevor, right? Jalen Hurts wasn't a rookie last year. Let me make sure I'm right about that.
I think Jalen Hurts is.
Jalen Hurts is not better than Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good, man.
Okay, we'll get to him later. Jalen Hurts was, Jalen Hurts, I'm right, was the draft class of Herbert, Burrow, and Tua. I'll take Trevor Lawrence over all those guys.
Okay.
Long term. Right now, Herbert, I like Herbert. Trevor's coming for them all. This team is one defensive collapse against Washington away from being 3-0, and they just back-to-back weeks of blowing the doors off their opponents.
Right.
Beat the Colts 24-0 and blew the doors off the Chargers. Go ahead.
You're really taking him over Burrow and Herbert, though.
I'm telling you, not
right now.
No. Long term, potentially.
Okay.
Absolutely potentially. Absolutely potentially. Yeah, fact of the matter is, and he's following the Peyton Manning script, as I said. 3-13 his rookie year. I think Peyton was 3-13. I think he was 2-14. Lead the league interceptions. People are like, was he a little overrated? Who knows? And then boom, on the scene. Also, by the way, oddly enough, Peyton Manning lost his first 9 career road games, won week 3 against the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence lost first 9 career road games, won week 3 against the Chargers. There's another Peyton Manning corollary. Let me find it real quick. Someone DM'd it to me yesterday. That's the one. Listen, he is absolutely unequivocally the real deal. And the Jags are going to be a problem for people.
Okay.
They're going to be a problem for people. All right, go ahead. What's next?
We got Green Bay and Tampa. Yeah. Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers made a statement against Tampa Bay.
Disagree?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tom Brady looked miserable for majority of the game, and he got hit with a delay of game on a 2-point conversion.
That was bad.
Yeah, to tie the game? To
try to tie the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was another bet you lost.
It was. Nothing against your future coworker, but is Tom Brady finally finished?
No, I don't think Brady's finished. I thought Brady actually, all things considered, was fine yesterday. I'm not going to pile on Brady. They had no receivers. That drive at the end of the game was vintage Brady.
Yeah.
After doing nothing the entire game.
Right.
Drives him down. Now, screwing up the 2-point conversion was bad.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a little too cute on the realignment and all that stuff. You can't take a delay of game there. You just can't.
Especially as like a veteran quarterback.
No.
Like and it was almost back to back.
Right. They almost got a delay of game on the game tying touchdown.
Right.
And then they did get a delay of game on the 2-point conversion. That can't happen. Okay. That's a bad job by him. It also looked like, did he think they had another timeout? It was kind of weird. Like he almost signaled for it. That part wasn't great. That is not, to me though, the Bucs, once they get their wide receivers back, the offensive line is going to be an issue all year, but the defense is awesome. That, to me, though, is actually not the bigger story from that game. Bigger story from that game is, once again,
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers looks unbelievable, then hits a touch of adversity, and becomes a different guy. Packers drive downfield, score a touchdown. A few possessions later, drive downfield, score a touchdown. Possession later, they're driving down the field. They're up 14-3.
The pick.
He throws it to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones fumbles into the end zone. It's going to be 21-3 Green Bay. Yeah. He fumbles into the end zone. The rest of the game, Rodgers did nothing. He threw a bad interception, did nothing the rest of the game.
Threw the interception and put his hands up.
Yeah.
Like,
Aaron is unbelievable. Probably the best quarterback I've ever seen when things are rolling. But as soon as things go a little awry, he gets either in his own head or frustrated or angry. They were very lucky to win that game. If after that fumble into the end zone, he could have just engineered one more field goal drive, it's no problem. Because the Bucs were doing nothing on offense. And so I oddly left that game a little more optimistic about Tampa than Green Bay, even though Green Bay got the win. Because Mike Evans is coming back. Chris Godwin's coming back. The young offensive line for Tampa will improve. Green Bay is going to face adversity. Aaron Rodgers is going to face adversity in the postseason and in big spots. And he's got to deal with it better. So I have a very different feeling than most people on that game. Most people are like, Rodgers get, second career win over Brady, did just enough, great defenses. That wasn't my feeling watching the game. My feeling was Tampa was so banged up and Green Bay was moving the ball at will. And then Aaron Jones fumbles on what would have been a touchdown to go up 21-3. It reminded me of, I got to pull up the box. I should have looked this up before the show. My apologies. But the last time Rodgers played Green Bay, Rodgers played Tampa in the regular season, I believe this was a game that they went up big early, and on his second touchdown, he did the discount double check, like double pump end zone celebration, and then went totally sideways on him. I'm pulling it up right now because I remember this. This was Brady's first year in Tampa. I'm going to find it.
You say that Tampa Bay's defense is so great.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be good moving forward.
Yeah.
But Green Bay, I understand that Aaron Rodgers got down on himself, but wouldn't you say that Green Bay was just like kind of moving through Tampa Bay? It seemed like they were kind of picking up yards whenever they wanted.
Yeah, I agree. They were in the beginning of the game. And then it flipped. And then after that fumble, it flipped. I do think Tampa's got a great defense. I do. But let me just tell you what happened when Green Bay played in Tampa, Brady's first year there in October of 2020. I just pulled it up, okay? They're up 3-0. Aaron then runs for a touchdown, thinks he runs for a touchdown, does like the double thrust touchdown celebration.
Right.
It then gets overturned. They score a touchdown anyway. It's 10-0. 10-0 after the first quarter. Then Tampa goes 3-and-out or something like that. It's Green Bay's ball. Aaron then throws a pick six, which he never does. The final score is 38-10. Tampa.
Damn.
Went from 10-0 Green Bay to 38-10 Tampa. As soon as Aaron threw that pick six, things went sideways on him. And this happens. In that game, he threw 2 interceptions, only threw for 160 yards. I've seen this story with him before. That concerns me. Chiefs Bucks next week should be awesome. We only went 5 minutes over. Not too bad by our Monday morning standards. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. What's Right, Nick Wright, episode 74, as we break down week 3 in the NFL. Listen, I stick around for the C block because we're going to talk about, it was all good just 18 hours ago. Damonza had a really great start to his gambling life and then just a disastrous finish because he just refuses. It doesn't matter how many times I tell him, I've lived this life before. Listen to me. He just can't help it. Like, no, it'll be different. And he did exactly what we'll talk about in the C block. I don't want to pile on. But sometimes, listen, this is parenting. Sometimes, you just gotta, you can only do so much to try to tell your kid what to do and what not to do. And then sometimes they're like, no, I'm going to know better. And then they're sitting there cursing Jimmy Garoppolo's name. Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, Damonza, let's talk some Sunday Night Football.
Last night, the Broncos beat the Niners in a thrilling 11-10 game.
It's one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my life.
wasn't one of the worst. It was the worst football game I've ever seen.
I mean, this score was 7-5 at one point. 10-5 looked like it might be the winning score. Yeah. Go ahead.
Nathan Fielder Wilson looked like his old self for a drive, but besides that, he was pretty trash.
Yeah.
Somehow he might have played better than Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
Will either of these teams matter in a month?
I think the Niners will. I don't think the Broncos will. Let's start with the Broncos. I told you guys Russell Wilson was cooked. And I might have given him too much credit. Chris Collinsworth, Russell Wilson made one throw and ran the ball one time. And Collinsworth was like, there's the Russell Wilson I remember. Yeah, occasionally. Limited release Russell Wilson. He has to be better than what he's been. He has to be. But the Broncos, that defense is so good. If they just ran the ball with Javonte Williams, they might be fine. But that's not what Russell Wilson wants. Nathaniel Hackett hired some guy from the outside to do his job since he can't make decisions. I guess give him credit for that, for recognize his own limitations. They're like, no, now he's going to get back to what he does best, call plays. Broncos offense look good to anybody. What are you doing? But Russell Wilson has been terrible. They are very fortunate to not be 0-3. Yeah. They should have lost last night. They easily could have lost in week 2. So that's the Broncos part of it. I was right about the Broncos. I was right about Russell Wilson. I don't need to take any more victory laps about it. The idea that, they're going to compete for the AFC West. I understand right now, technically, they're tied for first in the AFC West. Mirage. Nonsense. Now to the Niners. I picked the Niners to go to the Super Bowl. And all my colleagues in the media, once Trey Lance got hurt, they're like, I think this is actually good for the Niners. I think they're better. As if we haven't seen Jimmy Garoppolo for the last half decade. Damonza snuck away to bet on this game.
I didn't sneak away to bet on the game. I went downstairs because somebody was calling me. You hate it when people are talking while the games are going on. I was respecting.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll talk about the gambling thing later. Point is, I didn't know Damonza had bet on the game, but I had bet on the game. It was my lock of the week. San Francisco -1.5, because I knew Denver wouldn't be able to get to 13 points. And I stupidly thought that San Francisco might be able to put together a couple touchdown drives.
It was looking really good in the beginning, man.
Yeah, I mean, they drove right down the field. Good. And then Jimmy Garoppolo made such vintage Jimmy G plays. The self-safety followed by the pick six that only wasn't a pick six because he safetied himself is just an all-time play. Then
they win.
The Broncos
they lose.
Score a touchdown, but the defense stopped the 2-point conversion, so all you need is a field goal. Plenty of time, all your timeouts, and Jimmy G does the one thing he can't do.
I think he got sacked first and then threw a
pick. No. Well, no. The sack is later.
Oh.
He throws the pick across the middle of the field, double coverage for no reason. But that happens on the north side of the 2-minute warning. And so you thought the Niners were sunk. And I was like, no, they're going to get the ball back with plenty of time, which they did.
Yep.
They had a timeout and a minute. So Jimmy throws the game-losing pick. The defense bails him out. And so now they have a minute 40 and a timeout, down 1. And you and I'm laying a 1.5. You just need them to win. Jimmy, all we need is a drive. One drive. Got a good field goal kicker in Robbie Gould. First play of the drive takes a terrible sack. The first play. And then the next play, I forget who it was, but the guy who throws 2 fumbles. This is who Jimmy Garoppolo is. Flatly. He is unlike other below average quarterbacks, maybe because he's so handsome, maybe because the media likes him so much, he won't admit in his own brain he's below average. So he thinks he can make these throws he can't make. On the drive he threw the pick at the end of the game, he damn near threw a pick 6 on the sideline. He threw a pick that got waved off because he ran out the back of the end zone. This is who the guy is. The Niners have an awesome running game. I like their coach a lot and a great defense. The reason the Trey Lance injury was so devastating.
Trey Lance would have won that game.
Anybody would have won that game.
Would have won that game.
And again, Trey Lance might not be good. It might not be great. I don't know. But I know what Jimmy G is. And it's shame on me for betting on him. But that game went about the way I thought it would. Shanahan be able to design up a touchdown. Maybe they get... Oh, and the other thing that was just a killer was, despite all the Jimmy G stuff, there were, between the two teams, 5 fumbles in that game. And the Broncos recovered 4 of them, including one where the Broncos fumbled inside their own 5. And that was a killer. There was some unlucky stuff there. There were these
30 flags.
But that one, I told you so on Jimmy G, and I told you so on Russell Wilson. Russell will be better. Jimmy G will have moments where he looks better, but in the most critical spots, this is who he has always been. All right, next.
All right, well, Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
The laws of sports require us to discuss the Cowboys and the Giants game tonight. Mm-hmm. If the Giants win, they will join the Dolphins and the Eagles as the only 3-0 teams.
Oh, by the way, speaking of the gambling, I know we're going to talk about that, but you are heavily invested, whether you recognize it or not, in Dallas tonight.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no. I'm cooked either way.
No, you're not cooked either way. We only made one bet. I didn't make both. It was.
Oh, you're talking about the offer.
The offer. If you guys remember Friday's show, Damonza always makes me these ridiculous offers that I won't take. But Fridays I took. It was 50. I risked 50. You risked 2,500. And the stakes were that the Giants are the last undefeated team.
And it's the Eagles.
Buffalo just lost. The Chiefs just lost. Those were the 2 teams you're like, oh, okay. Oh, and Tampa just lost.
Yeah.
So now it's Eagles.
Dolphins,
who are on a short week this week in Cincinnati, they could lose in 3 days. And then it's Eagles-Giants, if the Giants get through this. But go ahead.
The Giants are favored by 1.
Yeah.
Do you like them at home tonight?
Listen, the Giants could get to 4-0 by beating Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, Cooper Rush, and next week they have Justin Fields, who's completed 23 passes this season. 8-8-7. And they're somehow 2-1. The Giants should win tonight if they do what Cincinnati refused to do, which is make the entire game plan about, we're not going to let Micah Parsons ruin our lives. I don't care if you have to triple team him at times. Micah Parsons, if he's allowed to, might force 3 fumbles on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the most fumbling percentage of games to fumbles. He's number 1 in modern NFL history. He amazingly didn't fumble last week, so you know he's itching for a fumble this week.
Okay.
If the Giants need to make the entire game plan about not letting Micah Parsons beat them, I don't think Cooper Rush is going to have back-to-back good games. I do like the Giants tonight, with the caveat of the modern-day Derek Thomas, Micah Parsons, could wreck it for the New York Giants. That's what they got to watch. All right, what game are we playing?
Oh, we are playing Right or Wrong, ladies and
gents.
let's
do it.
In the AFC North, the Bengals finally won their first game against the Jets.
Yeah.
Baltimore beat New England, and the Browns won against Pittsburgh. Right or Wrong, the AFC North is the toughest division to predict.
Oh, that's wrong. The Ravens are going to win it. Right now, this moment, Lamar Jackson's the NFL MVP.
Not lying.
Respect to Mahomes, respect to Josh Allen, respect to Jalen Hurts, respect to Tua. You got to include him. Right now, Lamar has accounted for 4 or 5 touchdowns in every game this year, throwing and running combined. It's unbelievable what he's doing.
It's pretty wild.
I had a good tweet last night, which Lamar can't get a contract. He's had 4+ touchdowns every single game. Russell Wilson gets $250 million. He's got 2 touchdowns on the season. I do think, quick little pick, and I know you disagree with me here, I think Cincinnati's going to beat Miami on Thursday.
Okay.
I think Cincinnati is written off far too early. I think that's Miami, the emotional, the comeback against Baltimore, then the great win against Buffalo, a bit of an emotional letdown on deck for them. And it's short week, and it's on the road, all those reasons. I like Cincinnati on Thursday. I also like the fact that that would then eliminate another undefeated team from our little wager.
Yeah.
But no, Baltimore's gonna win that division. Baltimore right now, they gotta figure it out on defense, which really means they gotta get healthier. But Lamar is playing MVP level Lamar. He's playing like 2019 Lamar. He's out of his mind. All right, next.
The Eagles are 3-0 after crushing Washington.
Yep.
They still have 5 games left against the NFC East, and they still play the entire AFC South. Right or wrong, Philly will be the number 1 seed in the NFC.
You know, people were talking about this before the year, and I didn't believe it as a possibility. Now you've got to consider it a possibility. With that said, they also lose this week.
The Eagles?
Yeah. You know who they're playing? Jacksonville. That's the best team they've faced. They played a tight game against Detroit in week 1. They blew out Monday Night Football Cousins and the Vikings in week 2.
Yep.
And they blew out Washington last week. I really respect what the Eagles are doing. I give them a ton of credit. The 1 seed is an interesting question. Let me think about it. Who's in contention for it? The Rams will be in contention for it. The Bucs and Packers will be in contention for it. God dog it. Are the Eagles the smart bet right now? Let's just look through it. At Arizona, home for Dallas, probably with no Dak, home for Pittsburgh, at Houston, home for Washington, at Indy. Oh, this schedule. They might be the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I mean,
seems pretty soft.
They still get 2 games against the Giants. I know I'm supposed to pretend I think the Giants are good, but I refuse to.
Okay.
They get New Orleans at the end. I mean, this game against Jacksonville, is that their second hardest game left? They have home against Green Bay. But this schedule is Jacksonville, at Arizona, Dallas, Pittsburgh, at Houston, Washington, at Indy, Green Bay, Tennessee, at the Giants, at the Bears, at the Cowboys, home for New Orleans, home for the Giants.
Sounds fun.
That's one hell of a schedule.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I think they might. They absolutely
finishing at the top.
The 1 seed. I might have to give it to them.
I think that's fair.
I'm not locking myself into this take, but I'm going to say right now, I think that's right. That's unbelievable. All right, next.
All right, the Vikings, Packers, and Bears are all 2-1, and the Lions are the second highest offense or second highest team in football at 1-2. Right or wrong, 3 playoff teams will come out of the NFC North.
No, wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Okay.
No. Dude, the Lions are a mirage, and the Bears stink. I don't care if the Bears have 2 wins. They stink.
The Bears? Okay, the Bears, fine. Lions. I don't know.
No. Jared Goff and that defense, it's not happening. The NFC playoff teams, Philly's going to be in, Green Bay's going to be in, Minnesota's going to be in, Tampa's going to be in, the Rams are going to be in. I still believe the Niners will be in. The Cardinals are cooked. Seattle's obviously not participating this year. The Saints are cooked. The Falcons are cooked. That last playoff spot is going to come down to Carolina, which could be 3-0. They're 1-2. Carolina, Dallas, and the Giants. Those 3 teams are competing for the last playoff spot, not the Lions, not the Bears. That one's easy. Last topic.
Okay. LeBron tweeted out Saturday asking if he was still eligible to play college football. Administrative Director Gene Smith responded, confirming your GOAT can actually come back and play college football.
Yeah, JR did it.
Yeah.
Not football, but golf.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
I think he's looking up to, not looking up to, but kind of following the lead of J.R. Smith. Right or wrong, LeBron is going to play college football.
I don't think he's going to. I think it's wrong. I do think it would be the dopest ever if LeBron at like 44 went to go play tight end for a big-time college football team.
Could you put, but like what position do you see LeBron playing?
Tight end.
At 44 years old.
Just a monster tight end. I think he'd be awesome at it too. 6'8", incredibly strong, the right size. Or they could just use him as like, if you're like, yeah, he's not going to be able to block, just like a goal line receiver. Just throw jump balls to LeBron.
Yeah,
What he really should do is try to be a goalie for a college soccer team.
Dude, what?
What?
What? That's insane. No, I just wasn't expecting.
I just feel like if you taught him the game, he'd get to everywhere. He's so big and he has such long wingspan and such quick reflexes. I think he'd be just like an unstoppable goalie if he trained for it. But
yeah, it'd be different.
I do think 40, like, here's the thing. People are like, he's going to be too old. LeBron is still one of the 10 best natural athletes in the NBA. So the idea that he wouldn't be one of the best athletes, like, we're talking down the road. Do I think right now, this moment, LeBron James could be an elite college football player? And situationally, of course. He's an elite professional basketball player. He was a great high school football player. And you would just have to use him on, like goal line stuff.
Yeah.
Catching jump balls. Why could he not do it? Antonio Gates played no football, was a basketball player, became one of the greatest tight ends ever. Tony Gonzalez, a basketball player, also played football, one of the greatest tight ends ever. Like, there's a model for it. LeBron's bigger than all of them and taller than all of them and more athletic than all of them. I think it'd be unbelievable. All right, do we have one more of these before we move on?
We do have one more.
Yep.
After the safety from Jimmy G and the butt punt from Miami, right or wrong, the QBs who had the best Sunday were Dan Orlovsky and Mark Sanchez.
Sanchez, I don't think, is off the hook. Orlovsky is. Yeah. Orlovsky's been waiting his whole career for someone else to do this, and now it's Jimmy G. And now there will be a whole generation of people that remember that as the Jimmy G play, not the Orlovsky play. The Orlovsky play was funnier.
Way funnier.
Because Jared Allen got so excited when pointing at him, like laughing at him.
I also didn't have money on that game.
Right, yeah. And Orlovsky, it was just like, it wasn't even close.
Right.
But Jimmy G's is going to live longer because Jimmy G, with respect to Dan was a backup quarterback fringe NFL player who's become an excellent television analyst.
Right.
Jimmy G is like a real NFL career.
Right.
And he ran out the back of the end zone. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that I bet on this guy.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of gambling, grand opening, grand closing, Damonza's gambling career. That's next. What's right? Welcome back in, episode 74. What's right, Nick Wright? On Fridays, we do a gambling show. And listen, I'm a gambler. I consider myself a semi-pro poker player.
Right.
Previous to this year, I had a very good public record against the spread betting football. Instead, this year, I go 2-3 every goddamn week. It's very frustrating. And listen, I got it. Honestly, my dad, before he straightened his life out and got on the fire department, he get mad at me for saying this, but it was literally 50 years ago, ran a bit of an illegal gambling operation. And he took me to card games when I was a teenager, and it's kind of in our blood. And I, much to the chagrin of Damonza's mom, have brought him into this world and tried to give him the parameters for, if you want to bet sports, here's the way to do it. You need to figure out your unit size. You need to stay true to it. You need to analyze the slate. Ideally, pick 3 or 5 games, but do it ahead of time. Lock those bets in. If you're doing 3, you only need to win 1 in order to avoid a really bad week. Because you go 1 and 2, you're basically down 1 unit. Damonza did all of that. Bet 3 games on Saturday. Signed up for our friends at Fox Bet. Bet 3 games. Said to me Saturday night, so excited, can't wait. Sat with me Sunday. And Sunday when we're watching the games, I said to him, I was like, it's kind of a shame all 3 of your games are in the 1 o'clock window. Ideally, you can't bet like this, but they're spread out a bit, so you don't then make extra bets later. And unlike me in the 1 o'clock window, Damonza had a winning window. 2 wins, 1 loss. The only loss was the Chiefs game. And I'll let you take it from here, Damonza. Then what happened? What'd you do for the 4 o'clock window?
I bet on Tampa.
Yeah.
At 1.5.
Yeah. Didn't tell me until after the fact.
Yeah.
But I could tell Damonza was so invested in the game that I said to him, I was like, did you bet the Bucs? And at first, I think he said no, but then he was like, yeah, I did. I bet the Bucs.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to have that, didn't want to have it in the air that I was on the game. I just wanted it to be over before I came and fessed up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then lost that one.
Lost that one?
And then I doubled down and basically put essentially my entire
the full account.
Just
put the whole account
on
what?
On the Niners.
The Niners.
Yeah, I lost.
Which I can't say was a bad bet. I was on that bet too.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gonna sell a pair of my Jordans now. I'm getting the money back. I'm definitely getting the money back.
You're gonna sell a pair of your shoes.
I'm going to sell a pair of my shoes. I've noticed that, I honestly have a couple pair that I've gotten recently. I don't wear them that much. I feel like they could easily go for upward of 180. Get them out of there. I basically lost $50 on Fox Bet.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Because what did you say to me after that? Because the Niners game was another. We've gone through, you in a very short period of time, have gone through a lot of the different stages of gambling.
Yeah.
The stomach punch in the Ravens game last week, the first round knockout in the Bengals game, the regret about bets you didn't make on Monday Night Football.
Right.
The unnecessary, wait, why did I even bet this? I had a winning day.
Yeah.
Feeling of the Bucs game. And then it's right there for the taking. The quarterback just.
And I could have cashed out at 280 or something like that. I looked at my bet slip or whatever, and I think the Niners were up. Denver had just punted something like that, and I could have cashed out and made $80 or $90.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, man, I should definitely do this right now. And I was just like, no, man, I want it all.
Let it ride.
I want it all.
And so what did you say to me the moment the Niners fumbled?
I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
I'm not. He quit.
I'm not betting anymore. I can't. I know how I am, and I just can't put myself through that type of stress. It genuinely pissed me off.
I know
I was actually upset, and I don't want to be upset about. I have no control over it. Jimmy G sucks. I can't do anything about him being bad at football.
Listen, can I tell you something? Honest to God. If you stick with that, stay with that. It's one of the most mature things anyone can possibly do.
Yeah.
If you don't, then come, because I know you love the Dolphins on Thursday. Oh, here's the other thing. That's the other thing. During Sunday football, after the 1 o'clock slate, right when Tampa was getting started,
right.
Damonza was looking at week 4 lines.
I was
like, oh, I really like this one.
I was
flying high. But emotionally, it's a lot.
It
can ruin for some people, it enhances their enjoyment of watching football. Some people, it ruins it. You don't want it to ruin it. And I really enjoyed sitting there with you and watching the games all day.
It definitely does it. I think, not saying that I'm going to bet again. I feel like because I've got $10 left on the account. If I were to ever bet, I can tell that just by doing that, it would never take me out of the game. I would always be invested in it. I don't think it sucked the fun out of football for me.
No,
I just think
here's my other question. Did it affect your sleep? Because it affects my sleep if I have a really, really bad gambling day.
Yeah, so it was definitely it was one of those
yeah.
It was
a
really
sick feeling in the pit of your stomach.
Yes.
It's the only thing I can compare it to is the feeling you have the next day if you drank too much the night before and feel like you embarrassed yourself.
Yes.
That exact feeling of oh, those are bad choices.
Yeah.
You were going to say spent too much money at the bar. Yeah, that same what?
No,
why did I do that? And so Listen, man, the other thing I was going to say to you is this. There are 5 acknowledged vices in the world that I know of. Drinking, smoking, drugs, sex, gambling. And I'm not a Puritan. I'm not one to say no one should have any vices.
Right.
I am one to say we all need to take steps back at times and say, am I checking all the vice boxes? And if I am, I need to curtail it a bit. So like for me personally, I'm married. So sex is not one of them, like going out and being reckless.
This is weird.
I'm saying like when I think people say sex, they mean like, you know what I mean? Going out chasing women, chasing men, whatever it is. It's obviously not mine. And I don't use drugs. So those 2 are gone. I do drink, the occasional Lobos tequila. For 15 years, I've been trying to kick the smoking habit. That's a winning and losing battle. And I gamble. So I'm at 3. I was thinking about it when it looked like you were going to keep gambling. I was going to go to you and be like, buddy, we're going to have to eliminate a couple of the others. We can't be going with the superfecta of the vices. We got to cross a few off. Now, if you're just naturally crossing off gambling,
honestly, and drinking is like, I think, off the table. The smoking is definitely on the board for me. I think that's very clear.
Yeah.
But
unfortunate. And we don't need to talk about drugs and the women.
Yeah. No, there's a couple ones that I feel like I'm just like,
listen, like I said, we all live our own lives. You're a grown up. We live and we learn. I would, I'm glad to hear, I'm just glad
I looked at it like, my dad owes me a little bit of money. I'm going to take this little bit of money out, which didn't amount to what you gave me or what you owed. So like, I'm honestly like a numbers dude. I look at my bank account. I'm like, all right, so I take this 200 out. No matter what happens, if this 200 leaves, this number that my bank account says after I take the money out is going to stay the same. But I'm going to leave all them. I'm not going to take any more money out.
No, listen, as I was worried, honest to God, when you told me you bet the Bucs game and then told me you bet the Niners game, I was worried you redeposited.
No.
I was.
No.
I was legit worried you would redeposit. You didn't?
No, nothing ever came out from the initial 200.
Okay. All right, listen.
So it was a $200 weekend. I didn't go out. I stayed in the house.
Well, that's the other thing. And again, we're not on this show to tell people not to gamble. Everyone's got to make their own decisions. But you also have to, this is the honest advice here, you cannot look at it as a way to make money. You have to look at it as an investment in entertainment that could end up making you money.
Yeah.
You can't, there's the same thing I tell people to go to
fun.
The casino. Like whether you bring with you $200, $500, or $2,000 to the casino, whatever it is, you have to be willing, whatever money you walk in there with, to leave with none of it and still feel fine about it. Like, hey,
right,
I got 5 hours of entertainment for X amount of dollars. I'm fine with it. And if you had just lost, if you hadn't made that last bet and you had lost $40 yesterday, and it was like, okay, I had legitimate 10 hours of captivating entertainment for $40.
No, I actually really enjoyed it, like minus the money. Like,
100%. Then it's like, oh, okay, money well spent. And this is where it's hard, it's the chasing. And it's the natural greed. Because, and this isn't, I'm not knocking you, I promise. Damonza had a winning day.
Winning day.
But it wasn't enough. And that's the struggle we all have. It's the struggle we all have. And I'm not helping America because I'm giving out losers. I've given them 2 and 3 every week. That changes Friday. This has been one hell of a show. I'm proud of you, son. Fun watching football with you. Thursday night, I'm all over the Bengals. You're not on anything. We'll see how it goes. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday. What's right? Hey, thanks for watching. Smash or just lightly tap that subscribe button. It all works the same. To get more from the show, and make sure you click. Why don't you want to mash the bell too, guys? Or just, lightly tap the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just hit the link in the description below.